Today, I just want to talk about how good patch 1.8 actually is. What? Marco still has something positive to say about the game for once? Am I dreaming? Nah, at least I don't think so. But for all the shit that I've been giving this game, for all the terrible mistakes that have been made with each and every update, I also felt that it was fair to speak up and come out now to say that patch 1.8 is really good. They have probably created the best version of the Division that we've had pretty much ever. As far as I can remember, dating all the way back to launch day, players have always been pushed into building their characters in a specific way or having a straight up weaker character to begin with. First, it was getting armor and skill power rolls, then it became stacking stamina, then it became avoiding stamina and getting health rolls instead. And we have always had at least one gear set or combination being utterly broken to the point where it became straight up cheese. Remember, for example, the sentry stacks with the SMG, the Tanktician with the sticky bomb. The smart cover builds where you got 90% all damage resilience. The reclaimer builds with explosive bullets for the whole team. Deadeye spam, Seeker Mine one-shot builds, and quite a bit more. And although I'm still kind of scared about the upcoming Predator's Mark, I think apart from that, it is safe to say that this patch we have exponentially more build diversity than that we have ever had before. The 6-piece final measure is crazy good in PvP. Striker is very good as well. Lone Star is good. Reclaimer is good. Sentry is good in PvE. Deadeye is kinda meh at the moment, but with a new global event coming out today, we're getting 4 more classifieds, which are also all very good in PvE and PvP. And not only that, but we also have the Ninja Bike now, which we can use to combine multiple things with each other, if we want to, for example, run a hybrid build and don't want to specialize into one thing only. High-end is also still good enough to be relevant. We also have exotic weapons that are good now with unique talents, creating just a little bit more build diversity. You see people running around with the Showstopper, the Bullfrog, the Warlord, Historians. We also have the House, which admittedly is a bit overtuned at the moment, but you see what I'm getting at. There are just so many things that are just really, really good right now. So many things to choose from, and because so many gear sets and weapons are viable now, that also means that the stat rolls on the gear and the weapon talents, well, we also have more options there, because different stats might work better with different builds. You can go for headshot damage, critical hit damage, health, exotic damage resilience, skill haste, skill power. You can even go for enemy armor damage and damage to elites if you play PvE a lot. The only stats that I would really avoid like the plague are all resistance and signature skill resource gain. Everything else is really strong with one build or another. That is also the reason why I haven't released the best in slot guide for patch 1.8 yet, because honestly guys, I don't think that I can. Unlike with, for example, patch 1.0 all the way up to patch 1.5, there isn't really an equivalent to armor, for example, that everybody should always get, or plus health rolls in patch 1.6 and patch 1.7. And what you need to get on your build, it just depends on what gear set you're running and what you're trying to do with that gear set. I didn't think that I would ever say this for the Division, but I believe that the game, from a character building perspective, is too balanced for a best in slot video. So does that mean that the game is flawless now without any problems whatsoever? Nah, of course not. As I said, I still think that Predator's Mark is going to be an issue in PvP. I think that the Ballistic Shield is too weak in PvP, and I still believe that the overall time to kill in PvP is also a bit too lengthy, but these are all things that can fairly easily be fixed, at least I think so. Just adjust the PvP damage modifier if you want to shorten the time to kill a bit. Just decrease the PvP shield modifier if you want to give it a little bit more health. And maybe, just maybe, add a bleed damage modifier on the Predator's Mark for PvP as well. None of these things would affect PvE or would drastically change up the game. My point is, apart from these things, there aren't any core issues that hinder the experience this time around. And yeah, I know, there's still some bugs and lag is still there at times, especially during those EMP waves in Resistance, but you'd actually be surprised to see just how many of the important bugs have been fixed, even though you wouldn't really say so if you were to just look at the patch notes. But honestly, a ton of shit was fixed that didn't even make it into the patch notes, such as the fire bullets giving 2 Predator's Mark stacks per bullet. That's fixed, and that wasn't in the patch notes. Or triage and critical save and then popping a medkit in your last health segment giving you 15% cooldown reduction. That is also fixed, for example, and that was also not in the patch notes. So yeah, you're still gonna run into some bugs from time to time, some of which may never be fixed at this point. But when you put it all together, we still have the best version of the game that we have ever had, with overall the best balance and the least gameplay hindering issues. And just like I've made my very angry videos in the past talking about everything that was straight up wrong with the game, I also wanted to make a video right now saying what a good job the developers actually did with patch 1.8. And then I haven't even talked about the new content yet. I've only talked about gear and balance and stats. So yeah, let's talk a bit about the new content. Starting off with Rogue 2.0, because I know that this one especially is going to be a mixed bag for a lot of people. As a fairly avid PvP player myself, I personally like the friendly fire option, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me here, but I think it's a step in the right direction. The main intent of this feature is to give non-rogues more chances at surviving when being ganked. I think that's why this feature was introduced, but I actually like it for a different reason, and that is because it brings back an actual challenge of staying alive versus the server when you are rogue yourself, because now more people can come together and work together to try and take your group down. And that makes it, again, more challenging for the manhunts to stay alive. It makes it more intense because the longer that you're manhunt, the more dangerous it becomes to stay manhunt, as more and more people might stack up to try and take you out. And of course, I know that this does mean that there will be some situations where it will be impossible to survive due to the sheer number of players around you. You know, if you're surrounded by about 20 people, then yeah, going rogue basically means suicide. But on the other hand, this friendly fire also means that if you're running with a good team into the DZ, that will not automatically make the PvP such a pushover 98% of the time. As the server gets filled up, the PvP actually starts to become challenging, no matter how good you are. You have to know when to take fights and when to run, and you gotta kinda learn to try to split up that horde of players coming after you and then finding them only a few at a time. People don't have to be afraid anymore of going accidental rogue when they're just trying to take you down either, and I think it just makes the PvP more fun overall, even though the manhunts are at a disadvantage. The one thing that I still don't really like though is the fact that the buy-off points are so static. It means that you can always have players camping the buy-off point for the manhunt players, and in some cases that definitely means that the manhunts will never be able to survive. Now, I don't mind the challenge, but I think that this is going a bit too far. This is straight up unfair, and I still hope that this is going to be changed somewhere down the line. Also, I don't think that the game should allow people to join you if you're in the middle of a manhunt, because people joining and then leaving each other's groups to continuously buy off the manhunt status and then regain it over and over and over again, that's going to promote boosting, and the more people that are going to find out about this, the bigger of an issue this will become. I already explained on the PTS how this all works, so I'm not gonna go over this again right now, but I just hope that this is something that the developers will be looking into over these upcoming few weeks. Moving on to Resistance, the PvE mode, I think it's a lot of fun actually. It's definitely been made more difficult than it was on the PTS, and because of that, it is actually very challenging to make it to the higher waves now, and that in turn makes it very enjoyable to try to beat your own personal best. It's also nice that they added the leaderboards for that, you know, it's a good touch to see how you fare against the rest of the world. Obviously, some of the very top spots are occupied by accounts with less than 2 days playtime. So you just know that it's a hacker, but that's a PC only thing, and I guess it makes it quite easy for Massive as well to ban these guys, as it literally puts them in sight for everybody else to see. But yeah, apart from the hackers, Resistance and the leaderboards combined, I think it's going to keep me busy for a couple of weeks at least, although I do think that the rewards from this game mode could be a bit better. I think if people are actually trying to play this to gear up and get gear, then they're doing it quite wrong. I think this game mode is most enjoyable when you already have your build and you're just trying to set a new record and that kind of stuff. And then besides Resistance, we of course also have Skirmish, the PvP mode, which I also enjoy quite a lot. I do wish that we had some better skill-based matchmaking for this game mode though. Yeah, of course, I enjoy the typical pop stomp from time to time as well. Oh, look at me, I got 20 kills and the other team got 0. I don't mind being a part of that sometimes, but I also think that this mode would be a lot more fun if you got matched against players of close to equal skill level. I'm not asking for a whole lot, you know, I'm not asking for a visible MMR with leaderboards or any complicated ranking system or something like that. I don't even want to go there, but not getting matched against new players as somebody who's played the Division for over 2,000 hours, I think that something like that would be healthy for the game, to say the least. I don't think a lot of players will stick around to try more Skirmish if they get 20-0'd within the first 2 minutes after the game has started. And also, for this game mode and for Last Stand, please just normalize the main stats for all the players to 1401 instead of 1272. With builds like Defense, Striker, Reclaimer, Tacticians, Hunter's Fate, Predator, all of these sets, they all have bonuses based on the amount of main stats that the player has. You know, Striker skills with every 3000 stamina, Reclaimer skills with 3000 electronics, and then Hunter's Fate skills with every 3000 firearms, and I don't mind that. I think those scaling bonuses makes those sets more unique and give them a specific playstyle. I think that's pretty cool to have. But it really, really sucks to have these min-maxed builds, for example a Striker with just 6000 stamina or a Reclaimer with just 9000 electronics, to have those builds not working properly in the only dedicated PvP mode in the game. If I want to play some proper PvP with those builds and I want those builds to work as intended, I literally have to mess up my entire build, even reroll some of the main stats just to get them to work properly as you would expect in Skirmish or Last Stand. And that is really, really annoying, especially for the more casual audience, because those players might not even have the items or the money or the resources together to really min-max two versions of each build, one for the normal game and then one for Skirmish or Last Stand. And some players might not even know that their build isn't functioning to begin with. I mean, how do they know? Nowhere in the game it is explained how normalization works exactly. Of course, I know, and of course a lot of players that watch my videos know, because we've been around for a very long time. We were there when it was introduced. But to somebody coming back from patch 1.2 or just checking out the game right now, how are they gonna know that their Striker build isn't gonna work in Skirmish? If you're asking me what the biggest oversight is that patch 1.8 has, then it is probably this, and I really feel like it should be #1 priority to adjust this as fast as possible. Aside from that though, all these additions to the game are great. I like Westside Pier, I like Resistance, I like Skirmish, I like most of what is Rogue 2.0, I like the new gear sets, I like patch 1.8. I finally feel like I have more stuff to do in the game. I finally have a reason to play again, other than just for fun. Within 2 days I burned through all my Division tech, so I gotta farm more Division tech. I still don't have a house, so I'm gonna farm a house. The new global event just dropped 4 new classified gear sets, so I'm gonna farm those 4 new classified gear sets. The Underground and Westside Pier added some new accommodations, which can also be fun to do. It's just a bit more extra content, and I can do all of that while trying out new builds without severely handicapping myself, because there's just so much build diversity right now. So yeah, developers, Red Storm, Massive, the other studios that I kind of forgot the name about right now. You guys did a pretty good job. It's always easy to say something like this afterwards, but if the Division came out, if it launched in the state that it is currently in, I think a whole lot more people would have stuck around to play it for a lot longer, and I think that the game would be a lot more popular than it is right now. People still play this game? Yeah, people actually still play this game, and it's actually a lot of fun right now. You should probably try it out. That's going to be all for today, though. Let me know what you think about patch 1.8. Do you think? Do you agree with me? I'm not gonna hate you if you disagree with me. So feel free to let me know. As always, I will see you guys later, or like to say in the Netherlands, zie je later.